Hey there, I'm Ton Ben, and this is Seattle Eats, a food podcast from the Seattle Times and KUOW. Sandwiches are a staple all over the world. But making a great sandwich is an art. It should have different textures. The filling's fatty, balanced with some pickle elements. The bread should possess some flavor, not just be a blank canvas. And sauces tie it all together. Well, my colleague Bethany Jean Clement has been on the hunt for the best hot sandwich in Seattle. She narrowed down her favorites to a top 10, including some surprise finds. Today, Bethany will tell me what goes into a great sandwich and how she hunted down some of the hidden gems on her list. Plus, we'll taste 3 of her picks and see if they're up to my standard. Ready? Let's eat! Hey, Seattle Eaters! I'm in the studio with Bethany Jean Clement, a fellow food writer and critic at the Seattle Times. Bethany, good to see ya.
Super to be here.
Well, thanks for coming. So, as I mentioned earlier, you picked the 10 best hot sandwiches in the city for your story. And we're going to try 3 of them. We picked 3 that are very different to talk about. But before we get to that, let's describe what makes a great hot sandwich. Because there's an art to it, right?
The bread is extremely important. You don't want one of these mouth-lacerating, crusty-topped loaves that's just going to be an issue for the roof of your mouth the next day. Rolls from local KUOW bakery have become very popular. I think 3 of the sandwiches on my list are using those rolls.
They are, yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah, they're popular for good reason.
And you can buy that by itself. There are lines out the door at KUOW Bakery. People just buying bags and bags of the bread. Sorry, go ahead. I just get so excited talking about KUOW Bakery.
Sure. It's a great local spot. And their rolls are sufficiently crusty on the outside to stand up to the fillings of the sandwich. But then the interior is really air bubbly and soft and nice. And it just works really well and it doesn't hurt you. Another super important thing is a balance of flavors. You want something rich and umami and maybe meaty, maybe vegetarian in there. You want something creamy like a delicious aioli or garlic aioli. And you want something tangy or something spicy to sort of offset and augment those. You're also building levels of flavor with all of those different components. And the construction of a hot sandwich is kind of a in-the-weeds thing to think about. But you want to get a little bit of all of the components in each bite, if possible.
Yeah, I don't understand these 4 to 5 inch high, pile-high sandwiches. How do people eat that?
And everything slides around and you're not getting all of the components at once. That being said, messy, when it comes to a hot sandwich, is great. Eating a big, messy hot sandwich is a moment of pure joy. We all know we need that right now. Pass some more napkins. Just get into it.
I rank sandwiches based on the number of napkins. This is a 5-napkin affair. That's my code for a great sandwich.
Yeah, when it's running down to your wrists and you're just ah.
And can I add one other ingredient? I would say melted cheese. It's like an adhesive. It's like glue. So when you have a lot of melted cheese in a sandwich, it'll stay in one place. It doesn't slip and slide. So you get the perfect bite every time.
I'm very pro-cheese. I think you know this.
Yeah. Are there ingredients you avoid?
Lettuce. You can't put lettuce on a hot sandwich. Just think about it. It gets slimy and gross. It gets inundated with what you hope is the fatty richness of the hot sandwich, not to mention the heat. Also, don't put fresh tomato on a hot sandwich. Same thing. It's just going to get mushed and yucky.
Yeah. So, Bethany, hot sandwiches do not travel well. You have bread that can get soggy. They're not easy to heat up. So how should you eat a hot sandwich to enjoy it at its best?
as soon as humanly possible. If your hot sandwichery, if you will, has seating, stay, eat, have something to drink, maybe a cold beer. Those go great with a hot sandwich.
Not that this is a problem for me, but with leftovers. Do they hold up well? Do you put them in a toaster oven? What do you do?
You can do that. Ideally, you're going to polish off your hot sandwich at the time because it's not going to get better, especially if you put it in the fridge. I do have one leftover hot sandwich and hamburger hack, which is take it, chop it up. If it's a hamburger, remove any vegetation. Chop it up into sort of bite-sized pieces, put it in a little casserole, put some water or broth on it, maybe some extra cheese on top. Heat that puppy up, and you've got a hot sandwich or hamburger casserole, which sounds weird, but it really is kind of the only way that I've found to revive any kind of leftovers like that.
Yeah. What I think, Bethany, is like not all hot sandwiches are created equal in the sense that when it comes to pork, especially chicken, they don't hold up well because it's usually so lean, especially in the United States. People love chicken breasts, and they just dry up so easily. From my own personal experience, I think beef, for me, as someone who eats a lot of takeouts and leftover, they tend to hold up better.
Sure, totally. And the jerk chicken sandwich from Jerk Shack Kitchen that is on my list is not gonna dry up on you. That thing is saucy and spicy and wonderful.
And I believe it's also dark meat. It's thigh meat.
Oh, yeah.
Only in the United States do people eat white meat or chicken breasts. The rest of the world tends to like thigh meat or dark meat. And it's a much flavorful cut. It's fattier and it holds up well.
I feel like that's starting to change. I think we're starting to come to our senses here in the United States of America, if only in that way.
Only in that way. When I would say for anyone out there who doubts me that fat is your best friend, try this experiment. Go to a barbecue house, order a brisket sandwich, lean cut, and order a barbecue sandwich brisket that's a fatty cut. Keep in your fridge overnight. I guarantee you, if you try it the next day, the fatty brisket sandwich will taste 3 times better. And the lean brisket will be so dry, it's like eating like chicken. It's just untasteable.
Yes, absolutely. Completely. And you don't need to do this experiment. Just think about it, people.
Just trust me, people. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll taste 3 of the sandwiches that made Bethany's top 10 list. Stick around. We come to my favorite part of the show, the taste test.
Yay.
Bethany, we have 3 sandwiches in front of us from your list. Let's start with real classic, the Croque monsieur sandwich from Bar Bayonne in the Central District. It's a French-style sandwich, sort of like, I would say, a grilled cheese with ham. But there's a lot more to a well-made Croque monsieur. So Bethany, tell me, why do you like this version?
This one is big. It's kind of beasted out. Some croques are like more like a little snacky like sandwich. This one is big and rich. It's made with thick slices of Grand Central brioche, tons of Gruyere, the kind that has those little tiny salt crystals in it. And as the Gruyere melts, those little tiny salt crystals kind of tingle. Oh. Then it's got nutmeg spiced Mornay sauce. Some Dijon mustard. And the ham is a very fancy French ham, which is a favorite in France for this particular application.
Oh, wow. So this version from Bar Bayonne is $15. You can supersize it. You can get an egg on top for $3. I should tell you, I picked this up about 90 minutes ago. You cannot get this sandwich to go. So what happened today is I requested to go. He says, sorry, we don't do this as a takeout order. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, can you get me a plate? And if I don't finish, can you give me a box? Magically, he just rolls his eyes and says, fine, we'll get it to go.
It's smart of them to not sell it to go because this is one with all the melty cheese. It's It is so delicious when it's hot. It's still delicious now, I will say. I'm not going to not eat it.
Yeah. I'm looking at this sandwich, and it's probably 3 inches high. There's brioche bread with Dijon mustard and butter. And in the middle, there's a stack of folded deli slices of ham and Gruyere cheese and more butter. And it's topped with a dollop of bechamel sauce, soaking up the entire sandwich, and melted cheese on top. There's no diet today, boys and girls. No diet today. I am shocked, Bethany, because I thought it was just going to fall to pieces and get all soggy, but you're right, this holds up really well, actually. So, Bethany, how does this sandwich hit your criteria as a great hot sandwich?
It's got a variety of flavors. It is a savory situation, but the Dijon mustard adds a little spark of hello. And it's got melty cheese, and it's well constructed. As I said, you want to get a little bit of everything in each bite. The delicious ham, the cushy bread, the melted cheese on top, the Mornay sauce, the Dijon. It's a good one.
And moving on to another sandwich that made your top 10. This one is another take on the classic, but with a twist. It's a Pho-rench dip panini from Bayonne. And it's basically a pho-inspired sandwich. So explain how Bayonne has tried to do this.
Plenty of places have done a spin on a sort of deconstructed pho sandwich where obviously you subtract the noodles. The broth goes in a cup as sort of a French dip situation. Then you put the meat in bread, press it, and dip it. The thing about the one from Bayonne is that it's not just the beef that goes into their regular pho slapped on some bread. It's also bucco cut beef shank from local pure country farms. It's dry aged for 21 days, and then it gets an 8-hour braise in Bayonne's beautiful beef pho broth. So the beef shank is enriching the stock with more marrow and beefiness, while the stock is flavoring the beef with its anise and all its panoply of spices. And when you take that meat out of the broth, put it on bread, serve it with a side of the broth, it's like this crazy full circle moment of deliciousness.
So, Bethany, tell me how this is constructed. What's in here?
Well, it's on one of those great KUOW bakery rolls. It's that ossobuco cut beef shank, local pure country farms. It's got melty provolone, which adds sort of a little East Coast touch to the sandwich. And it's got lots of onion and cilantro for freshness and zing. Then it's all smashed together in the panini press in the most beautiful way. Melts everything, heats everything up.
So this sandwich is $19 or $20 at Bayonne. The prices change depending on which location you hit. And this is what a lot of the Asians would call a no-waste sandwich. Because what happened is, and how this got started, is a lot of pho houses, they have a lot of leftover broth. They also have a leftover meat. So if you just buy bread, you have, voila, a Pho-rench dip. And that's how it became so popular. And I'll give Eric Bond, who owns Bayonne, credit, because he'll cop up to this. That's the only reason why he has it. And this is a so much better version than most of the ones out there, not just in Seattle, but I would say in Orange County and Houston and all the big Vietnamese community. Because the problem that you have with a lot of pho banh mi is it's basically just leftover broth that becomes a reduction, so it tastes really salty. And they use like leftover beef, which is usually round eye, so it's all dry and lean. So it tastes awful. This one is really a chefy take from beginning to end. Even the press, even the quality of the sandwich. But enough for me photificating.
Haha.
Shall we take a bite? I'm going to dip into this pho broth.
I love that the broth has a faint sweetness to it. It really complements the rich beefiness. And the provolone adds this little bit of an East Coast sandwich touch. And then there's onion, there's cilantro. That adds a little like freshness and zing.
Yeah.
It's a really good sandwich.
It is. It's beautifully constructed. What I love about this, Bethany, is with the broth, It's not a reduction. So it's just a pho broth. So it doesn't taste too salty, slightly sweet, and you can still taste the beef flavor. Whereas if you were to reduce the sauce, it would be too salty and the alchemy would be all off. I love this sandwich.
Yeah, and I would say anyone who's a fan of a French dip, you got to try this. It's that and then more.
Yeah. And what's perfect about this in terms of putting it through a panini press is you have this nice exterior crust. And so when you dip it, it actually still stays crunchy. So the only part that gets wet is on the inside.
Yeah, the exterior is this rich, dark, golden brown from the panini press. I love you, sandwich.
On to the final sandwich in our tasting today. So Bethany, when this story came out, I opened my Sunday paper with a latte, and I went through your list with all the sandwiches, and I was like, this is pretty benign and non-controversial. And then I saw something that made me change my mind. Because a lot of people will argue about if a wrap is a sandwich, and one pick on your list is the vegetarian Pabellón Arepa at Arepa Venezuelan kitchen in the U District. And I realized, Bethany, you chose violence. Because an arepa is basically a thick corn flatbread stuffed with fillings. I know a lot of people will say, this is not a sandwich. So, Bethany, explain yourself. Why is an arepa a sandwich?
I'm not here to gatekeep on hot sandwiches, Tom. And Arepa Venezuelan kitchen in the U District and over in Factoria is just making masterpieces that are, in fact, inside a cornmeal dough bread situation. It works for me. Make it work for everyone.
Yeah. Now, did you hack this?
I did.
So tell me what it was originally and what you did to it.
The Pabellón Arepa is a sandwich that's based on the national dish of Venezuela. So it would normally have meat, beans, and golden fried plantains. What we've got here is subtract the meat, add avocado. And the avocado plays the role of meat with the richness and the texture. And it really plays well with the golden fried plantain and with the black beans and with the grated jack cheese. You don't need the shredded beef in this one. I tried it both ways. I like this way better.
Now, this is the only vegetarian sandwich on your list. Is it hard to find vegetarian sandwiches in this city?
It really is, and that makes me a little sad. And often the vegetarian one is just sort of put there on the menu because people have vegetarian friends and they have to eat. This one, even though I made it up myself, apparently it's become pretty popular at Arepa Venezuelan kitchen, and that's great. And I must quickly mention that I left off an amazing vegetarian sandwich, and I'm kicking myself. It's at Upwell Wine and Coffee in West Seattle.
Yeah.
It's on their lunch menu. It's their French onion grilled cheese. And just think about those words in that sequence.
Now, we got to try this controversial pick. So, the vegetarian Pabellón Arepa at the Arepa Venezuelan kitchen in the U District is about $15. The arepa has been fried on the flat top. It's still crunchy, and I can tell it was fried with oil because it's kind of greasy in a good way, And then it has been cut open and stuffed with beans, fried plantains, and half an avocado.
And they're really generous with the avocado. And when it comes to avocado, a great deal of generosity is what you want.
You know, it's so buttery rich. I love it. Great move, Bethany. I think the avocado really works.
I love the fried plantain and the way that the sweetness in it gets kind of a creamy texture where the avocado is firmer and sort of does act as the star of the show.
Yeah. Well, Bethany, this qualifies as a 5-napkin affair.
Yes,
because
I can see it falling down your shirt front right now.
Exactly. I have avocado in my jeans. I have plantains on the floor, which I'm sure I'm going to have to clean up later. The good news is it's overstuffed. The bad news is I can't keep it in the sandwich.
It does slide around. You have to kind of control the sandwich. Don't let it control you, Tom.
There you go. And if the Venezuelan kitchen is listening to this, I'm not complaining. Don't put less avocado into my sandwich.
Yeah.
This works perfectly.
More is more.
Bethany, I think you had more than enough sandwiches recently, so I'm going to volunteer to take these with me and off your hands. You're welcome.
I'll be taking my own leftovers.
All right, fine. Bethany, thank you for having lunch with me.
It's been a total pleasure. 3 such great sandwiches in great company.
That's a wrap. Or should I say, a sandwich? Haha. There's a link in our show notes to Bethany's top 10 hot sandwiches in Seattle and details on the ones we tested in this episode. Thanks for listening to Seattle Eats. The show is a production of the Seattle Times and KUOW, part of the NPR network. You can support Seattle Eats by investing in the local newsroom and the specialized beats that make this sort of storytelling possible. Please consider joining and subscribing at KUOW.org/eat and SeattleTimes.com. Seattle Eats is produced by Claire McGrain and edited by Jim Gates and Trevor Lensmeyer. I'm Tom Ben. See you next week, Seattle. See you next week.